Welcome to Electronic Specify Insights, the podcast for electronics engineers. I'm your host, Paige Hookway. In today's episode, I'm joined by Frank Mayer, General Manager of IMC Test and Measurement, to dig into what's actually happening at the validation layer of the automotive industry's transformation. From software-defined vehicles to ADAS and next-generation powertrains, Frank brings a sharp engineering perspective on how test infrastructure is evolving to keep pace, and why getting measurement right has never been more consequential. I hope you enjoy this episode. Let's get started. Hello and welcome back to Electronic Specify Insights. Today I am joined by Frank Mayer, General Manager at IMC Test and Measurement. Now thanks very much for joining us, Frank. Now I know this is your first time with us, so why don't you start with an introduction of yourself and your background?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm very excited to participate here. It's my first ever podcast. A little bit worried about hearing my voice later. That's always awkward, but yeah, we'll push through it. So, a little bit about myself. I'm the black sheep of my family. Always everybody wanted me to join the family business, but very early on, I started to disassemble and open the TV and the video recorder, and always wanted to figure out how things working. So sorry about that for my parents. Anyway, I then started to become actually an engineer. Worked at HP with a Packard, which became Agilent Technologies, and today they are named Keysight, one of the leaders in test and measurement. Also worked at Rohde & Schwarz, another leader in test and measurement, and Tektronix and Fluke, and had different roles from being just an engineer. Now I have to be careful. I know the engineers will hate me for that. Just what does he mean? But was also working in the service organization as a service technician, service engineer. And then I joined the dark side, became a sales engineer, and always wanted to go back to technology. And yeah, I was very happy when I was able to become a general manager at IMC. After a long journey more towards sales focused, I was able now to go back more to the technology side and the R&D side. Yeah, and that's where I am since 3 years running now also IMC. Yeah, very happy about that one.
Excellent. And for those who don't know the company as well, could you also introduce IMC for us?
Absolutely. So IMC is a part of a platform which is called Axiomatic Solutions. Axiomatic Solution consists of three companies. One company is named Audio Precision. They are based in Beaverton, Oregon, USA, and they are the specialists in audio analyzers. And then we have a company called Kras, and Kras is based in Holte, close to Copenhagen in Denmark. And they're building like state-of-the-art, high-quality test microphones. And then about IMC, almost 40 years in play. Yeah, our customers are really love us for our data acquisition engineering, but also our amplifiers and our software. We have around about 200 engineers here in Germany, headquarters in Berlin, very traditional building, an old Siemens redstone brick building. So inviting the customers always to visit us here. I hear it is fun to join us here.
Fantastic. Now let's deep dive into the topic, because we know that the automotive industry is undergoing a massive transformation, right? From electrification to software-defined vehicles. So what are the biggest changes that you're seeing from a test and measurement perspective?
Yeah, we clearly see that trend since a longer time. I would say in the last 25 years, we can clearly see that there are more and more sensors integrated into the car. There are so many different bus systems that have to work with each other. You have now high power in the car. The density is unbelievable, but everything has to be price sensitive, a lower price, not cheap, but lower price. And yeah, if you look at the electrification and also the software part, we clearly see that our test to measurement, the key is to speak both the electrical amplifier signal input world, so the signal integrity, but also understanding how to deal with all of the different bus systems to the same time. Hence, you need the same time base. Hence, you need a system which is real time. And yeah, we'll touch on that maybe later on as well.
And as vehicles become more complex and data driven, what new challenges does that create for engineers trying to validate systems reliably and efficiently?
Yeah, they suddenly don't have to measure like 20 different data sets. They suddenly have to measure thousands of different data sets. And yeah, typically you also would say, hmm, if something only happens once, there's one problem. It's not a big thing because it just happened once. So in 1 second, it's gone. But reality is the car is driving. It's a safety hazard, right? You don't want to have 1 second incident during your drive with your family, for example. Yeah, so we clearly see you have to be able to measure a lot of data super fast. You have to be able to store that, but then to gain insight into all of the measurement data, agree on a report standard is another big challenge and the change I see in the market.
Mm. And following on from that, as you've said, modern test setups are becoming increasingly complex with multiple domains interacting. So, how does IMC help customers manage and control these highly integrated test environments?
So what we do is really we deliver the complete solution. So we have not just the amplifiers, the analog amplifiers, we also have the digital inputs. And then we have an advantage that we are able to use a multi-core software approach where you can distinguish between command sets you're sending to your device under test and the controlling part of the whole system. So you can have multi cores, every core is doing their job. And that's how we make it much easier for the customer to ensure that everything is running as expected. And to the same time, we offer a lot of software tools which have some AI capabilities as well. And it makes it easier to find like the challenge, find the issue in all of this, I would say big data dump.
And I think one of the things I see is real time measurement is becoming critical, especially in areas like ADAS and powertrain. So, what does real time really mean in today's automotive testing context?
Yeah, that's a good one. So there you have to understand that when we say real time, that doesn't always mean it's just the same millisecond. There are terms, and they were fine with those terms, or we were fine in that industry with those terms. If it is 100 milliseconds, then it's real time. But now, if you have something driving completely driven by sensors and by coding, you can say 100 milliseconds are acceptable. So you have to be real time, and that means you have to go back in having the pure data analyzed. You still want to do all of the post processing, and you have to do all of the post processing, but you have to be able to look at the real data immediately when it happens, so that you can see that there is a big challenge in your car concept or in your overall design.
And following on from that, how do you ensure data integrity and synchronization when you're dealing with hundreds of channels and multiple data sources in a single test setup?
That's why we have this. I have to be again careful. They're very experienced R&D engineers who love signal integrity, and they really thinking about that stuff every day. Obviously, you want to take care on signal integrity. You want to have very short cables to measure the device on the test. And then when you capture the data, it's also a good thing to store the data exactly where the measurement happens and not elsewhere. Like many concepts I knew from the past, I worked at all the big ones or almost all the big ones before. They also careful about how much data can you transport from A to B, and B very often is a computer kind of where you do all the data manipulation, all the collection. So the IMC way is IMC integrated measurement and control is we do it at our amplifier already. And then the amplifier goes to a base unit, which is in a very high speed bus system with a high data integrity given by the technology, and store the data exactly where it happens. You have a parallel route kind of where you can still access it through the laptop. so that you can see some of this data. But on the other side, you're really sure that you also store most of the measurement data at device under test, very close to the device under test already.
Okay, fantastic. And I'm interested to hear, what would you say differentiates IMC in terms of handling complex measurement and control tasks compared to other players in the market?
So clearly, the competition is also good. Yeah. So I can't say anything negative about them. And yeah, there's always a difference in every approach. I would say the big difference here is that we have this analog engineer still who understands the bits and bytes. And that for us in our core is really focusing on the customer signal integrity challenge. And get a turnkey solution where we have everything from where you have to probe the signal, how to access the signal, and then route it through your measurement device, route it to the software, and all this interacting with each other, kind of. So I think that is a big difference. I didn't see that in this scale or in this form in any other company. And as I worked for other leaders in the market before, I can also say what I found here 3 years ago when I joined is impressive. We have very good engineers here.
Now, I'd like to talk about software as well. So, how do IMC Famos and IMC Studio work together, across the measurement workflow from data acquisition to analysis?
Mhm. I think here it's important to, at the beginning, already distinguish between Studio and Famos. They are completely different. Studio is used for really getting access to our magic, the data acquisition world at IMC, making use of all of the functionality, automated calibration, managing the workflow. If you have a task on how you want to test your vehicle or all of your measurement components or electrical components together with the software which you're programming or controlling the behavior of your car, then you use Studio. You use Studio and you don't have to be a programmer. A lot of it is more intuitive, is more like drag and drop kind. So you don't have to be a professional coder, like an IT, a software guy. And I think that is a big advantage. On the other side, you have farmers. Farmers is a state of the art post analysis software with an AI agent, which can help you to work more effective and efficient. And you can use farmers with all your data. You can use it with an oscilloscope from Tektronix or from Rodin Schwartz or from Teledyne or whoever is manufacturing great oscilloscopes. But you can also use it with spectrum analyzer data or data acquisition, God forbid, from other competitors. Might happen, but even there, it's working. And what it can do is it can generate insight. You can go one layer deeper into your measurement data and find out what's going on with your device on the test. And that's what I hear from all those big OEMs. Like, as a matter of fact, most of the big OEMs are a power user of farmers. I was surprised by that when I joined the company because I never heard IMC or even farmers before. But yeah, that's where we are very proud of. You can use them together. If you learned, oh, Studio is how I access the data acquisition units and the sensors. I put my measurement flow together and I want to measure. Now I acquire all the data. Then you, of course, can also use farmers to make sense of that data or dive deeper into whatever happens with your device on the test.
Excellent. And I think we all know that predictive maintenance and AI are major industry trends. So I'm also interested to hear how IMC is leveraging measurement data to move from reactive testing to predictive insights.
Yeah. I think here also we have to look into what is what, right? You can use AI to enable you to do predictive maintenance. And in my experience, especially now also with IMC, we offer you the tools. We equip you with the tools, but the power comes from the gurus, like in the industry, like the guys who are doing actually their own design. They understand what it takes to use AI based on data models or data sets you collected with our measurement devices and then, coming to a conclusion, oh, this instrument will fail soon, or this device under test will have a problem in a couple of weeks. Like they know how to do it. We had some customers, be careful, of course, but talking general about nuclear power plants. And we had one particular customer who went to one of our farmers' trainings and he was impressed. He went back and then he started to dig into all of the functionalities with farmers. And then he came up with a model in farmers how he can do predictive maintenance for the nuclear power plants in all of their safety relevant electronic components like velvets, where you have to transport air or water. He knows how to train the model. We know the expert in that. Like we know the tool, right? But the application, the power comes from the customer and their experts.
Yeah, and that's the perfect use case. So looking ahead then, how do you see AI and big data reshaping the role of test engineers? Will software increasingly take on decision making or will it remain a support tool?
In my point of view, again, I know with every trend in the technology environment, you 90% of the time wrong when you make a prediction. But yeah, I can join the club. It is a blessing, but also a threat to the same time. We have customers who ask us, why do you have AI? If you have AI, I'm not going to buy your instrument because it's a hazard or a safety issue for us. We don't know what happens to the data. But for the user, what your question was pointing towards, how is that changing? I see that they will work more effective and efficient because many of the hard work in collecting all of the data, putting it in a format where our brain can actually process that data will be done by AI. We had a meeting today with our CEO and with some of our AI experts in IMC, and we found that we always have to look over those results. Like it's almost never happens that there is something which you can say, yeah, oh, AI made a decision. No, that would be terrible. At the moment, this would be terrible for us because you need the experience and you also need like the creativity to connect dots where there is no direct way between each other. And that's where the human makes the difference. We're not going into a singularity for AI right now. That would be the wrong podcast. If the AI ever gets really creative and more intelligent, maybe all of that is changing. But for as of now, I think it's just a cool thing to have because it makes your life easier and you will work much faster and you don't have to do this painful number crunching that much anymore.
Excellent, thank you. Now, is there anything else that you'd like to discuss before we finish?
Not really. Obviously, all of this is great to put it out into the world, but now the real interesting stuff comes. Yeah, what does our customers or the engineers how do they think about it? Obviously, they will say, yeah, okay, he's a general manager. What does he even know? And yeah, we have those technical guys here to have this discussion. So I would just point it back and say, yeah, please reach out to me. Please reach out and comment and maybe have the FAQ session. I would be super excited to have that and have the valuable dialogue with our customers who are facing those challenges versus us always telling, it's so easy and we have the right fit for everything.
Thank you very much, Frank. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the episode today. And thank you so much for your insights into the test and measurement industry and for telling us a bit more about IMC. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to this latest episode of Electronic Specifier Insights. Don't forget to subscribe to the series to keep up to date with our newest guests, and do share with fellow colleagues, friends and family who may be interested in the latest news from the electronics industry.